You'll soon see that we're not some.
Yeah. Very good.
Very good. Yeah. I was trying to sugarcoat that slightly, Dave, but yeah.
I had enough training to be dangerous.
Welcome to Cloud Realities, live from Google Cloud Next 2023. We're a conversation show exploring the practical and exciting alternate realities that can be unleashed through cloud-driven transformation. I'm Dave Chapman.
And I'm Rob Kernahan.
And it is the final day of the conference, so we're going to do 2 records today. We're going to come to the first one in a second. How you doing, Rob? You all right?
All right, not too bad.
How's the jet lag?
I've completely recovered on the day I fly back, so that's part of the course, isn't it?
I'm also feeling fresh and in the time zone for the first time. Yeah. My head is not cloudy, and no pun intended, I wouldn't go there. What did you do last night?
Well, we were planning on seeing LL Cool J.
So we were sat in a bar. We were actually sat in the tunnel top, which we talked about.
We went back to double check our recommendation from the last podcast to make sure we got it right. Which we did. We did get it right.
It checked out. It was good.
Better than Google Maps on that, I think, with the review.
Yeah. Anyway, so we sat there, and we LL Cool J evening thing was supposed to go from 6 to 9.
It was.
So we sat there till about 7, something along those lines, and then we headed down to see LL Cool J. So we got there about 8.
He was very timely.
Yeah, it was like, the place was completely empty when we got there.
You know, the rock star's supposed to be late, on at the end, that sort of stuff. We turned up and went, oh.
So it looked suspicious when we arrived in the cab, and it's like there's a lot of people stood outside at 8:05. Did you go?
Yeah, it's pretty
was
much.
Was it good?
Pretty much same. Well, it's pretty much same thing happened. I thought there's no way that it doesn't start till 8 p.m.
You said, yeah.
And so I roll in 7:45. Thought it'd be very calm and relaxed, and there's already people leaving.
Is it something I did? Yeah.
So
he was already off by 7:45.
No, it finished by 8:45, 8:30, 8:45. So it was a very timely event.
Yeah, it really was.
Yeah.
I was pretty disappointed. I was well up for a bit of old school.
It was really good. It was super good. Yeah.
We'll just have to imagine it, Dave. We'll just have to.
Well, hopefully, I don't know whether has anyone put any videos up?
Well, there's a couple here and there,
yeah.
I put a couple up.
I'm going to check that out.
Check your feed out.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, look, you've heard him a little bit already. Joining us today is Mahin Samadani. He's the Director of Business Transformation at Google Cloud.
Thank you.
Mahin, you're very, very welcome. It's good to see you. Yeah. Thanks for making the time. You want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, great to be here. I'm based in San Francisco. I'm part of a team in Google Cloud called Go Transform. And we quite simply focus on articulating return on imagination in the cloud.
Love that.
So what does it mean when you decide to put design, experience, AI, everything in the cloud?
Right.
How can you reimagine your business? How can you invent value?
And without getting too sort of overly scientific about that, have you metricized return on imagination? How do you measure it? What does that look like?
So for me, it always starts with creating user value. So if you've created benefit for user, if you've delighted them, if you've made their lives easier, we can map it out in a journey map and understand where do people spend time, where do they receive actual monetary value, of course. But it starts with the user. And I fundamentally believe if you create user value, the commercial benefit will follow. We also have a team that's affiliated with mine that does do that financial analysis and provides the rigor. And I would call it, it's creating both the magic and the money, and you need to tell both stories.
Right. Love that. And when you say user value, do you mean internal user in an organization, or do you mean customer of that organization?
It's both. It's really whoever you're thinking about designing for, whoever this experience is for. Anytime there's a human that's going to be interacting and is a stakeholder, we want to make sure they're delighted. And the cloud really allows you to do that better than ever before.
And so as you're going into cloud, I want to come to some definitions of cloud transformation in a second, but is your gateway then into into cloud transformation via the experience?
Absolutely. Well, and we've anchored on what I would call the world-renowned Google Ventures Design Sprint as our approach and methodology. There's literally books written about it, and it's a great way for businesses to invent new things. Right?
Just tell us a little bit about that for those who might not have heard it. What does it involve?
Yeah, so we've modified the approach slightly for the cloud and for also AI and Gen AI, but it really starts with understanding the user, and then going through a series of structured ideation. So we understand that people come up with ideas in different ways. Now, in any given workshop, certainly the aspiration is to have some sort of epiphany. But oftentimes we've already thought of a lot of different things we want to do, but we're having trouble organizing our ideas and understanding where is their user benefit and where is their value.
Right.
And so we help do that. And then we do a series of mini sprints and then start to test and experiment and try new things.
And we refer on our show here, you might have heard in the intro, we talk about cloud-driven transformation or cloud-enabled transformation. And it's something I'm particularly passionate about because so many people see cloud transformation as being quite a technical element. And, maybe there's 3% of the budget is put towards something like change management, and people think that's, kind of enough. And it's a very, very technical or programmatic exercise. So what would your definition of cloud-driven transformation be, and how does that tie together with the experience-led piece that you've been talking about?
Yeah, so, it's just that. It's shifted to the experience. And increasingly, you're starting to see, not just financial stakeholders, but the business stakeholders, CEOs, and now the board-level stakeholders taking a deep interest in what was once highly technical solutions and outcomes,
right?
Because now it impacts the entire business. Every business is a digital business, and so every business stakeholder needs to care about what the solution is and what the outcome is. It's not just for the CTO anymore.
And when you talk to the top of the shop of these organizations, I mean, working with cloud and doing the things you're talking about is a very different way of approaching different mindset, different way of working, different interaction model. Are you seeing a shift now to a general understanding that, operations need to change, it's technology and business interlinked? Or do you think there's still a split where some get it and some are still too in the traditional mindset?
Even if they don't get it a few weeks into the exercise, they will get it.
Because this aha moment goes off in their head.
They start to understand that, they're potentially not organized well enough to, A, pull it off, but B, deal with all the implications of running that type of business,
right,
and moving faster than they ever did before, and also organizing their data and delivering all these new experiences.
And that must be quite a rewarding experience as you see the penny drop in them and they suddenly go, oh, yeah, we do need to do this, don't we?
Absolutely. And and something that's happened, particularly with the rise of AI and the headline snatching that's happened, people are very excited about it, and they want to do a lot of different things, and they hear about very exciting things. But for a retailer, for example, there's a tremendous difference between offering an experience that's around, hey, tell me what clothes I should wear for a wedding in Montauk this summer.
Right.
That's one experience. Versus, do you have these black jeans in size 33 in San Francisco? Now, those might sound like very, very similar types of experiences.
Superficially similar, yeah.
But the latter could probably be implemented in a couple of months.
Yeah.
And the former is potentially a couple of years, depending on the quality of the data inside of any organization. And so sometimes just articulating that spectrum and road mapping it makes a really big difference, and people can then understand and start to roadmap what they want to do and when, and what the value is associated with it.
One of the things I think experience-led transformation also brings that is sort of very material is that it allows you to understand your customer experience. It allows you to understand your cloud transformation in a way that you can prioritize everything in behind delivering user experience. And so like every dollar spent or every line of code is materially impacting the end user or the end customer. Yeah. And it seems to me that's a very direct route to value. Yeah. Because sometimes, big holistic changes find it difficult to articulate value, and sometimes it can actually get lost, right? There's many IT programs that have, hundreds of millions of dollars in and not actually delivering the organization perceives as value.
Yeah, well, and there's another benefit because there's tremendous value in things that could be considered failures or mistakes, but I would actually just call them experiments.
Yep.
Now, years ago, some folks will probably remember there was this thing out there called Google Plus. And so you can say what you will about it.
Circles as well at one point, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was an experiment, right? And lots of press either which way. You can look it up. But fast forward to today, there's another great experience out there. It's called Google Photos. And if you look at and that's an award-winning product that does really well. If you don't have it, you should try it.
Right.
That's a healthy plug for that.
What differentiates it?
A lot of the same things that were inside of Google Plus. So the lessons learned from there. And what the cloud allows you to do is to take certain components and very quickly redeploy them. And that's why, when you see different experiences and services that have launched that aren't necessarily always successful, it's okay if it's in the cloud because you can actually take parts of those down and redeploy them in other ways. It's very modular. And so you're starting to see companies do that increasingly. There's a major media company that came out with a premium news service. Right, and everyone laughed when they had to take it down a couple of days later. But that's okay. That was an experiment, and I'm certain they're going to repurpose elements of that experience and redeploy it.
Well, let's talk a little bit about that repurposing and using platform and repurposing across platform. Yesterday in our discussion with Zach, he talked about sort of 3 different adoption patterns that are sort of have emerged over the maturing of cloud adoption. The first adoption pattern being quite IT-led, quite cost-centric, generally getting out of data centers, that kind of stuff. The second one he referred to as like a data-centric conversation, and it's something that Rob and I have referred to as like what we've referred to as line of business lighthouse, like a specific implementation of something that may or may not be integrated elsewhere. And then the third piece being more platform, which allows the sort of experimentation across the platform that you're describing. But what it also does, it allows for things like enterprise pivots. So if you join up a few of your business lighthouses, all of a sudden you might be providing completely new sets of services. Does that resonate with you as a pattern, and what do you see from your lens?
It certainly does, and I would suggest there's a fourth dimension around the experience, and that's the natural progression. In addition, you could actually almost layer on in what you just articulated a shift of the conversation from a highly technical audience to financial, operational, executive, and board level audience, because that's where this is starting to really matter. Consumer expectations and user expectations are shifting and increasing at a rate higher than ever before, right? And the switching costs for a user to change the type of experience they use, it's gotten very, very easy.
I reflect on that is so true. I reflect on the e-bikes here.
And is this also, Rob, why you struggle to adopt modern productivity tooling?
Not this again, Dave. We just have a difference of opinion, okay?
Yeah. In differences of opinion, someone could be right. That's all I'm saying.
Right.
Anyway,
no, it was this, to your point, e-scooter in America, never had an interaction with this company, walked up to a scooter late in the evening, scanned a barcode, authenticated with my Google accounts, and within about 2 minutes of not knowing this company, I was riding their scooter down the street. And the frictionless approach, it actually took me back a bit and went, yeah, that is what we try and get, isn't it? It was so easy. It was like 3-4 clicks and I'm on my e-bike.
Yeah, they delivered a great experience.
Yeah, it was fantastic.
And if someone else matches that experience, you'll probably take a different branded one.
Yeah, so it's too easy. It's too easy.
Right, and so because loyalty is also at an all-time low. So it's, but what the implication is, and what this means is companies have to focus on the experience, because someone else is going to be doing it.
Right. And the end user, from an experiential point of view, the end user in large corporate organizations, let's face it, have not generally had great experiences of their tech. So have you got any good examples of where you've actually focused on end user experience in an organization?
Yeah, well, absolutely. And actually, there's a great mention by our CEO Thomas on Tuesday regarding Hackensack Meridian Health, if you recall that, and some of the work we've just done with them. Now, what we found, and studies show that for every hour a care provider spends providing care to a patient, they actually spend 2 hours on administrative tasks.
Yeah.
Right? And so if we can help make that more efficient. Maybe perhaps through transcription, automation, whatever it might be. It doesn't actually have to be, way out there technology. That's a significant benefit to an end user that's in a kind of a corporate, care providing context.
More face time with the human, less burden from an admin perspective. And we've been talking a lot about productivity and how AI can massively improve that. The mech suit, which is it's just helping you out and getting it done. That's a great use case.
And importantly, less burnout. There's a really interesting company in Silicon Valley called Rad AI, and they focus on radiologists. And one of the things that they're trying to do is reduce the amount of burnout a radiologist has from just taking a look at all the x-rays and then a lot of the transcription. It's a tremendous mental burden. And also it leads to more mistakes.
Right.
And so if we can eliminate some of those things, we're having a profound impact on humanity at that point.
What's your observation with organizations doing really holistic change? So one of the things I bang on a lot about, and hopefully, give me a minute and I'll try and get back to experience-led transformation, but one of the organizations I bang on a lot about in terms of how they've pivoted not just once but multiple times over the kind of history of their company is Netflix. They've gone from media distribution onto a streaming platform, disrupted the media distribution industry, and then pivoted again into content creation and have been very disruptive inside of the Hollywood model. And it seems to me, if you think about the 3 years of transformation that we've talked about, they have been repeatedly interesting in terms of some of the big courageous decisions they've made and managed to actually create multiple different organizations almost during that period. When you think then about holistic cloud-driven transformation, are you observing any organizations yet that are thinking that holistically and making really brave decisions about what they're doing?
Yeah, so I think many are moving in that direction, but there's a couple of points there. Well, so one about Netflix, I think they're really good about listening to their users and not just necessarily in a qualitative sense, but I think they look at their data really, really carefully. And they're also they're willing to take risks and pivot and change and introduce new capabilities and features. And so I think that's something they do well. But with regards to this holistic change point, technology is really only 20, maybe 25% of any true change story.
Right.
And the case for change and having an actual why, having a purpose around it, is when management clearly articulates a strong case for change and a purpose, you actually have a 30% chance of increased.
Well, that's a good stat.
Increased success rate, right? And so it's got to be holistic from the point of starting with the change story, purpose, data, operational elements, culture, talent, and then yes, technology. Right?
Sorry, go on. No, I was going to say we have a joke on the podcast where we said the transformation failed, let's change the technology. Oh, it's failed again, we'll change the technology again. And they don't look at all the things you just said, but that was a great list of anybody trying a transformation. If you haven't looked at all these things before you get to the tech, there's probably a high chance you won't get what you expect.
Yeah, if a caterpillar doesn't fully transform, it doesn't turn into a butterfly, it just becomes a fast caterpillar. So.
That's right. I think the other thing you said in there that I think is pretty meaningful is that notion of purpose. And I think purpose to me works on a number of different levels. One, it's obviously clarity, this is what the end looks like, or at least the next step. This is what it looks like. But I think there are two other important factors in purpose for me. I wouldn't mind your thoughts on them. The first is that it's a commitment. So it's like a leadership commitment. I think a lot of cloud, not necessarily cloud transformations, but business transformations generally, they're left somewhere in the bowels of the organization and not really joined up to leadership. So it's very easy then as somebody who might be subject to that change to push back on it, because I'm not hearing that from the C-suite. You might be interested in that change, but I'm not necessarily interested in change. And it creates a very easy blocking dynamic. And then the second aspect of purpose for me is, and it's connected, is just directional. So even if you've got an organization with multiple different federal business units, if the North Star has been clearly articulated to them, there is just a kind of a general drift in the right direction, which is helpful.
Something everyone can organize around. Well, people don't buy what what you do, they buy why you do it.
Right.
And it's really important to be able to succinctly articulate that, have an aspiration, understand who you're creating something for, and what the benefit's going to be. How are you trying to change the world? Hey, we're trying to give people the tools to so they can maximize their creative outputs. Yeah, that's one statement, right? That's maybe some companies use things like that. Others are we help the world. We help everyone become an elite athlete. Whatever it might be, you've got to choose that purpose. Why do you exist?
People with a purpose, much better.
Mahin, thank you for that. Tons of insight and very refreshing to holistically talk about what cloud-driven transformation
thank you.
Can really mean to an organization. I think it's where the big breakthroughs come from. So great to see you. Thank you. Rob, you've been roving about the place again, and you got some themes from the end of day 2 of the conference and the beginning of day 3?
Yeah, there's a few things in here. The productivity conversation continues, and there was actually a talk about sort of microservices architecture that get out of control and how you have to organize yourself so you don't get huge friction and change takes ages again. So creating another style of legacy. There was a really good talk on how to better organize your operating model, but it brought out the platform point, which was let the platform do the heavy lifting and abstract, and let the product groups get on with business.
Anything in there about familiarizing yourself with modern productivity tools?
No, not in that particular talk,
okay.
David, but we'll get back to that.
Yeah.
We will get back to that when we sum up. There was a good nod to multi-cloud around the cross-network stuff, which is exposing cloud services anywhere, and so a secure way of interacting with low latency. So that helps the multi-cloud point about how you can interact with the best of each to connect it together. So really nice to see that coming up. And then there was another push on the platform stuff about the new Kubernetes engine for scaling for AI and things like that. So it was all good. So again, another nod to the tech community about making their job easier,
right? Because
they have to build all this stuff that then allows the business to do all the great things that we see above when we're talking about the democratization. But there was a brilliant quote around deconstructing legacy and thinking differently, and it was, we can challenge our assumptions even when we celebrate what came before, which was a nod to you've got to think differently if you're going to get the successes out the door. And it just really, that quote really resonated with me about this is a mindset shift as much as anything else.
Right.
And yes, it's been successful in the past, but it doesn't mean we still have to consider we need to change for the future.
Any of those resonate with you, Mahin, or is there anything from the conference generally?
So, 100%. This whole notion of doing things differently, and I think if you look at a lot of the things that were announced around workspace, it's phenomenal.
Right.
And the efficiencies in productivity are massive. My wife Christina's got a little design research startup, and it's just a couple of people.
Right.
But I'm seeing every single day how she's deploying these things, and I'm blown away. Whether it's synthesis of research transcripts to understand core themes, the creation of storyboards, it literally days and days of work are captured in about a half hour.
We discussed yesterday you can send the AI to the meeting so you don't have to go, which I got quite excited about.
It's essentially that, and then just say, tell me what happened, and now write a response email around it too.
Right.
It's quite easy. Cool.
Well, we do transcripts of the show that we put out, which we auto-generate.
All right.
And then also we're going to create blogs. We're going to automatically create blogs off the back of those transcripts.
Perfect.
So you can go from this conversation to a published blog without any human intervention, pretty much.
And then go and find all the relevant video clips around the content as well, right? So,
right. Are you taking a note of that, Marcel? Yeah. Good. And any sessions or announcements at the conference, and apologies if I've missed them, that speak to the wider, more holistic elements of transformation that you've been discussing? It's very technical in a lot of ways.
Yeah, so I think this is clearly a developer's playground. And so it really speaks to that audience. But I do believe ultimately, if you're going to be successful in this space, you do need to win the hearts and minds of the developers and give them the right tools. And so I'm very, very excited. Even though I'm not a highly technical person, that we're speaking to that audience and we're providing them with world-class tools that are really, in my mind, and from what I'm hearing from folks, quite superior to other options that they have. And that's going to speak very well for the solutions in this space.
And I like the, we talked a bit about this also yesterday, but the sort of tagline for the conference is the new way to cloud. And obviously that can be read in multiple different directions. I wonder from your perspective, the sort of role that you do and the view you take on transformation, how does the new way to cloud speak to you?
So I'll go back to the experience word, and I'll probably layer that on with it's the most innovative cloud. It allows you to be more innovative than any other cloud, and that if we connect all the dots, it's because of the different tools, the solutions. Of course, the long legacy and history of AI. This isn't something that just was rolled out a couple of weeks ago. We've been working on this for a decade, right?
And that comes through connecting systems together, making it easy, reducing technical friction. That's been a big theme here that we've seen, and that just makes it easy. You can spend more time on the things that really matter.
Yeah.
Very good. Mahin, thank you again. Now, we end every episode of this show by asking our guests what they're excited about doing next.
Yeah.
And that could be anything from, I'm just looking forward to getting home and seeing my family again. It feels like it's been a while. Or it could be something exciting in your professional life.
Well, I think this one will actually resonate with you. LL Cool J is playing at Chase Center this weekend, I believe. So
no way.
Yeah. So you can.
Are you going to go again?
Well, you can make up for lost time here and potentially go. So yeah, I'm excited. I'll go look into tickets.
Maybe he's going to start at like 3:30 in the afternoon.
Yeah, exactly. I wouldn't be. It's definitely going to end on time. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, he obviously has things to do, like later on in the evenings. Like his favorite TV show comes on at 8.
I was trying to find the after party, but
you're right.
Oh yeah.
We just went to Mel's and had a burger,
which is very good, by the way.
Yeah. Mel's Diner.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Look, Mahin, thanks again for your time. I know that conference schedules are crazy, so thank you for squeezing us in. It's been great talking to you today.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Cool. All right, well, a huge thanks to our guest, Mahin. Thank you so much for being on the show. To our sound and editing wizard, Ben. Our producer, Marcel, and of course to all our listeners. We're on LinkedIn and X, Dave Chapman, Shalke Azar, and Rob Kernahan. Feel free to follow or connect with us and let us know if you have any ideas for the show. And of course, if you haven't already done, rate and subscribe to our podcast. See you back in Google's reality soon.